See, I wish we knew more about like the Everglades stuff and all that.
In China?
Yeah.
What's happening with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not smart enough to know. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I saw that and I've been meaning to look at it. It's like trending on Twitter all the time.
well, nobody knows. Like, I like reading about it on Twitter, and like, there's some people are like, yeah, it's the next Lehman. Some people are like,
Oh, yeah, apparently they have like a huge loan that they're not going to be able to.
they've
They have a
defaulted
huge
on it.
loan that's been backed by like a lot of international banks and RBC in Canada as well. And they're saying that there's a chance that they're going to did they default?
They did,
They did.
but then they have 30 days now.
Okay.
So I think they're waiting to see if like somebody bails them out, like the government but what they've said they're not going to.
You know what
It's-
kind of company they are?
They're a real estate company.
Oh, they are?
They're 100% real estate developer. 300 billion.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They demolished. Didn't you see the videos?
No.
They had like 20 condo buildings
Yeah.
vacant, unfinished, and they demolished them
Why?
because I don't know. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, what? Nothing to be scared of? Like, I don't know enough about it to be
And
like,
this is in China?
I think so. Yeah. That's the thing. And I was reading something about how they have two different currencies. Like, they have an internal one. And then like, or like even what you said, like I heard they were like it wasn't anybody local. It was all foreign. And I'm like, did they just dupe everybody else? Like, I don't know. It's just, you never know about this stuff until like, we talked about this on a couple of podcasts ago, I think. And it was like, you know, what you don't know is the scariest shit, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
and the
even-
other thing is if it's too difficult to understand, it's likely a shit show.
Well, and that's it, right? And you know, same within 2008, like everyone thought there was no issue in the States. And then all of a sudden, well, certain people did, they were shorting it, but
Yeah.
then it all came out like, oh, this is, you know, what we didn't know. It's like, well, no shit. How are we supposed to, you know, know that criminal activity was essentially happening?
Actually, that's interesting. The criminal activity stuff and the money laundering, I think that worries me or scares me more than the housing bubble itself.
But that could cause the housing bubble, right?
So
like,
I was talking to Phil about this,
yeah.
our good friend Phil, and he was saying that Phil loves going into, this is weird, loves going into like old buildings,
Yeah.
like that are occupied by people,
Yeah.
and walking them and just seeing like what conditions they're in, right? So at Brock and Roslyn in Whitby, there's a church.
Brock and Roslyn.
In Whitby.
Okay, yeah.
There's a church. And
Huge church, right?
Huge
I think,
church, yeah, exactly, which recently went through a huge remodel.
Mm-hmm.
And then behind it is an apartment building, a co-op apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And who owns the co-op apartment building?
The church.
The church. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, the building is immaculate. Like you walk in there and you're like, when I'm old, I would want to live here. There's that. There's, you know, I'm noticing that more and more.
So what are you trying to make? What's your conclusion here? That the church is using money to invest in real estate?
I mean, that's nothing new. They all are. But not even that. But like, you know,
collections, please. Collections, please.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm noticing that with the other religious bodies as well. Like you look at some big land and it's being purchased and owned by these religious institutions, and where's the money coming from?
Yeah, I don't want to get into politics and all this stuff and that, but
religion,
but all I know is that we are a bunch of sheep.
Yeah.
We are all a bunch of sheep in this larger, grand scheme of things. That
I think we're living in a big just scheme.
Oh, you know the movie The Truman Show?
No,
you've never seen that movie?
No.
You gotta watch it. It's essentially he grows up in a bubble.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know it, but then he starts cluing in and realizing, and it's like a reality show that they're watching Jim Carrey's character in this fake reality, and it's all staged for TV. And then sometimes I'm like looking for signs going like, is this a fake set? Are we, is this reality? Cause like, you know, and even the election, it was just like, I went and played volleyball the night of the election on Monday. I was like getting home at like 8:39. Like the Liberals are declared the winner. I was like, I just went in like, like they just counted my vote after I checked it on a piece of paper on a pencil. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many things where I'm always like, I was like, Jesus, that was quick. I'm like,
Yeah.
isn't there mail-in bat? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's all. Anyways, let's get to.
I'll admit I didn't vote this year.
You know what? I didn't vote either, but I went to vote.
Yeah.
And the line was massive.
Yeah. Did you have intention to vote? I did. Yeah. I had intentions of voting. But again, I think I'm just so fed up with the system in general that
I agree.
I don't think any party is going to make any material changes to life in any way, shape, or form.
They're all liars.
And they're all liars and pricks.
I'm like, I don't even like it. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. I'm like, I don't even want to vote for one of these schmucks. It's like,
yeah. And it's, it's not even, I lean towards one party over the other, but even if that party came into power, there'd be no change that would make my life materially different.
no, I agree.
Yeah. Or no one party is going to turn policies around to an extent where
Well, it's minority governments too, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not getting anything done, and then they fight the provincial, and it's
Yeah.
Anyways,
and
we're gonna lose our
voting is-
40 our 40 subscribers here. 20 are gone now.
All right, let's get into the show. What's going on, Cam?
Fire me up. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Got a long beard going.
Yeah.
Got the long beard going. The
Changing
tatch
things
sweater going.
Just
living life.
trying to unwind after this year, and
Yeah.
the beard's part of it. It's
Yeah.
my Zen beard.
I gotta say, you don't look too fatigued from having a baby.
Well, yeah, I am.
Oh, sorry.
But no, it's because we finished up our 2 projects. We've moved into our new house where we haven't been doing much, to be honest, right? Like we've been
Just chilling.
focusing on the new one, and that's been a handful. But as you know, 3 real estate projects
Yeah.
can do just as much damage. And I don't know if we've told the viewers the exciting news, but Habibi's on the way as well.
Yeah. We're expecting a little baby boy.
Yeah.
December 25th on Christmas Day, we're gonna have a Jesus baby, hopefully.
Yeah, so you're gonna feel the pain soon, my friend. I can't wait
exactly,
to
yeah.
check in on you in January when you're, you better finish up your projects here.
I know that's the goal. Well, I have
You got an update for us or what?
well, according to my partners, we have 6 days left to finish the project at Floral. So that thing better be done in 6 days.
That partner at Floral you have, he is he
gem.
cracks a whip, eh?
He cracks the whip.
When he's not walking through old apartment buildings or old buildings.
exactly. Yeah.
Or posting on Instagram.
I'm posting on Instagram. Yeah, guys, response time is quick, fairly quick. So how are things on your end?
Good, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of, teaching here and there. And, we're getting settled into the new house and new baby. And projects are done. Refinanced Madison. Tenants are one's in, one's going to be in. And then kind of just trying to figure out what the next move is. I know we're, I'll talk maybe in a little bit about the commercial deal I'm looking at. Kind of doing due diligence on and figuring out if we want to pull the trigger on it. But other than that, not much. It's been nice to kind of take a couple of weeks to breathe and, just kind of reevaluate and get finances in order, meeting with accountants to try to get everything just finished up with the flip and the Burr project there. So,
Right. So high level for people that have been watching and that know that you were doing the Madison deal. So you guys finished the project, you have tenants in there and you refinanced.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. You want to just do a high level summary of purchase, reno, refinance, and if you did a perfect Burr on that or not?
Yeah, so we definitely did a perfect Burr, which is very cool. We actually left some money into it. I know there is a video on my YouTube channel, which is now a little inaccurate because we didn't. Let me give you the number. So we bought for 505. We spent 130. So we're in for 635, and we basically it's worth $875. Now, we had a problem with the appraisal, only gave us $810, but the lenders didn't care. And either way, they wanted to give us a mortgage for $630.
Yeah.
Which meant that we're still going to have a bunch of equity into it. $630 mortgage. So that, it's 72% loan to value.
Yeah.
Which means that, we're going to cash flow about $1,000 a month. So 630 mortgage at 1.6%, right? Which was the key there. So I was like, holy smokes, like that is just crazy good interest rate. So after paying myself back, I'll get all my money out, about 230,000. I put 100 down, 130 in reno. And I figure I have about 70K in equity on top of the 20% down. So we still have, in my mind, a couple $100,000 worth of equity in the home. Going to cash flow about $1,000 a month. We got upper tenant paying 22, plus utilities, lower paying 17, plus utilities. So 3,900 a month, and our expenses all in are about 2,900.
Yeah.
Including mortgage, property tax, insurance, and a little buffer for vacancy, capital X. So I think all in all, crazy good project. Super happy with it. Own that with a JV partner where, again, I own 85%. He owns 15% for qualifying for the mortgage and going on title, which has been great. And so that's that project.
Is your mortgage partner getting any of the cash flow in the deal?
We're split after all my money's back to me, which is 230,000, give or take. We split everything 85-15.
So at this point, now that the refinance is done, your initial investment's fully out?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys are going to be splitting the cash flow?
Yep, we'll split everything 85-15 from here on out. I don't think we'll pull the cash flow. We'll probably just keep it in the account and let it build up and keep that as a buffer as well. But
and that property will be worth $1 million next year.
It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of it. It's so crazy when you own a property with none of your money left into it. It's like it's just crazy to have that, knowing that your return is infinite, essentially. Right. And it's going to be great cash flow, and regardless of what it's worth, as long as the tenant market stays strong, which we had no problem with. And I know we're going to talk about kind of the screening process coming up, but so that one's done. We're actually getting our money into the account today. So lawyers have closed everything up on that. We got our legal 2-unit certificate in the mail yesterday. Nice. I got. Nice. So it feels good to get that kind of polished up and finished. And the flip in Ajax is sold. I just did a video on that too as well on my YouTube channel where, we made about $250,000. So
that's pretty sweet.
Not a bad year, right? Not a bad year. So like I said, it was stressful having the new baby, wrapping those up, doing all that. So we're now, trying to take it easy a bit and looking at a commercial deal, which we'll talk about in a second. But I want to hear about your projects.
Yeah.
Tell us about some.
Yeah, no, things are going well. Central Park is done.
Nice.
We should be getting the legal certificate at the end of the month. That should be exciting. We are looking for tenants at the moment, so the upper unit's up for lease on Facebook Marketplace, and we're getting hits on it, and there's 2 interested parties that are completing the rental application, so we're
2,300. You have that up for?
We're asking 2,300 for up.
Plus utilities
and hydro.
Wild.
Which will be great, and then for the basement, we're hoping to hit 19 to 2,000. For the basement is
really that much, eh?
I think so.
It's a nice basement. Yeah, I haven't seen it fully done.
Yeah, it's a nice basement, bright, good parking. There's
2 parking spots.
2 parking spots. Nice. And it's just very nicely done. 1 bedroom's huge. There's walk-in closets in it. So I'm hopeful that it'll fetch close to 2,000. But if not, I'm fine with 18, 19. And again, that's also a project where we're gonna take all our money out and some. So we'll
still cash flow nicely,
and still cash flow, So that'll be great. Floral is going well. That's the one I was talking to you about, where we have 6 days to finish it. So, and I think
You're joking with that, though, right?
No.
Why?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you have 6 days to finish it?
they want it done in 6 days.
Who?
The partners. Because it's been almost like 7-8 months.
Yeah, but whatever. It's going to take however long it's going to take.
For sure, but there's, for them, there's holding costs that they want to start recouping. And I know that we will with the refinance.
Yeah. That's going to take time.
But it's just a matter. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of like, let's just get it done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm with them. I want to be done.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
exactly. I agree with you. I'm not. It's just funny because I'm like, I thought that was a joke.
No,
I mean,
no, it's not.
Of course, you'd like to be done, but so would I. Like, I would have liked to be done. All woulda, coulda, shoulda. Right? I think sometimes you run into problems and you got to deal with them. And
the one thing that I've actually like enjoyed doing and seeing as part of the renovation process is the driveway repair. I got like. It's pretty cool, man. Like when you do your driveway repair and the widening, and then you see like how much space you have. We did it at Central Park. We're doing it at Floral, and we're gonna do it at Fern Hill.
Yep.
And for me, it's money well spent. It really helps with the curb appeal. It gives you the space that you need for parking and comfortable parking. I'm not talking like you got to be careful with opening the door. Like you can swing your door, step down, carry stuff in and out. So
both those like Floral's huge, right? That's on a big piece of property, exactly. So you could afford to go that wide and stuff like that.
Yeah. So Floral's coming along well, and that's a project where again we're gonna perfect bird that and pull everything out. And we're doing repairs that we typically don't do on a house. Like for example, the chimney, like we're getting it properly capped. We did waterproofing on that. So things are okay. We've spent a lot of money on it, but again, it's justifiable because we purchased it for so cheap, and market has helped. And then Fern Hill's going along well too. Upstairs is 90% done.
Cool.
We are waiting for windows have been ordered, and they should be in 2-3 weeks. So
you got permits like in
actually,
waiting, right?
I got in 6 weeks.
You got them back already?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty quick. Is the fastest I've gotten.
No, that's really
actually
fast.
For all my conversions that I've done.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was cool.
So basement has started, or
demo is completely done, but no actual work because we focused on upstairs.
Are you going to try to rent it upstairs early?
No. Because people are working from home, and like the construction factor, noise.
I agree. I'm just I guess you wanted people working, but I'd get people going on that basement too.
Yeah. So the basement's a little tricky because we're putting a 25-foot beam in the basement. And
wood beam?
No,
LVL?
metal beam.
You're gonna go metal, eh?
Yeah, metal
Why?
beam. Apparently, and I could be wrong, but the engineer that we had working on it, if you exceed 21 feet, it can't be wood anymore. It's got to be metal beam.
That's a big opening.
Yeah. It's going to be nice. That basement's like 7.3 ceiling. There's already a lot of natural light, but we have one 4x4 egress window, and then we have a 4x3 in the kitchen.
Wow. So
it's going to be pretty sweet down there.
Yeah, nice.
But anyways, the reason why we didn't start was because the beam is structural, and that is a important component of it, and we can't do framing because
you're waterproofing too there, right?
One side we're waterproofing. Well, I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, but if we do framing, it's going to be extremely difficult to get in the 25-foot beam. So like the outside walls are framed, but inside it's not framed.
Gotcha.
So that's that was the reason why we didn't do it. And there's like 4 huge columns down there, which is the reason why we're doing the beam, so we can eliminate all the columns. So
yeah, I know which one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah. So
shit, man.
Anyways, but it's sweet. Like that place, the kitchen looks badass. Yeah. Anyways, we'll do a video on that soon, and you'll get to see it.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah. Besides that, I think for the rest of the year, I think I've done enough. I've made what I need to
say,
make.
Man, I'm like, you're stressing me out to listen to all these of going on. And
but again, like just like you, I have my wife kind of on board, and she's helping out, and that's been great because I'm not at Fern Hill. Like I'm not going there.
Good. Yeah. About time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So all good there. Should we get into the market update quickly? Do a quick market update. So I'll do a quick like high level summary of the market, and then you can tell me what you're seeing, and I'll kind of talk about what I'm seeing. So essentially, monitoring the market in terms of, so I've had this month, I've done 3 deals, 1 lease, 2 purchases, and on all of them, essentially in the Oshawa region, the ones in the Oshawa region, like Durham region, inventory is coming. Showings are happening. And
how do you feel about the inventory though? Like I was expecting more in September, to be honest. I don't know. We don't have any hard stats, but like just from feel, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of inventory.
No, so I have the stats for it because I did an August market update, but essentially June, July, August, the inventory has been very, like June was very low. July went up. I think in Oshawa alone, we had 350 listings. And now in August, we had 354, something like that. And so it's slowly starting to go up, but in terms of months of inventory, we're still at like 1.1 months of inventory, which is very low.
Yeah. And I just think like September's normally, like August I felt was like low. And it just from, again, I'm specifically talking about the houses we look for, right? Like, the rundown houses, the bungalows, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, from that perspective, extremely low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those bungalows are hard to come by. But so that's that. And then, bidding wars are still there. When I offer this past week, one of the properties had 27 offers, we won, and then one had 15 offers and we won. So
how'd you win those?
Don't worry about it. I know people.
Helps to know people, eh? This is the
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's the way it should be, right? And
so besides that, what I've done here, I've kind of let's do a screen record. So I just went on MLS and I've pulled everything that's sold from September 1 to now. We have around 224 properties sold, and when I look at the statistics, the average price is $774,000 right now, which is, when I step back and I think about it, it's that average price. When I correlate it to what we're buying, it's pretty much like the bungalows that we're buying are around the 730 to 740, 750. Prices, yeah. And then the one cool thing that I wanted to chat about was I looked at the numbers when it comes to all of Durham in terms of average sale prices, and Oshawa is by far the cheapest, even cheaper than Clarington, Brock, and Uxbridge. So Oshawa is at like average selling prices around 774. Ajax, Pickering, Whitby is over 1 million. Clarington is around 9. So Oshawa is like 130, 150 cheaper than surrounding areas.
Yeah, it's still the discount. It's still definitely the discount. I think I agree with that. I'm looking at a site here, and they have the average price in August at $750,000 in Oshawa. And it's just interesting because this is kind of like a 10-year graph. So 750 they have in August. At the peak in 2017 of March, it was 580. And then it went down to 456. So it's just crazy. Like, you think about it, and you hear about timing the market and stuff like that. It's like the peak was 580. We've already blown that out of the water, and we're well above that price. So it's just crazy to see.
Yeah. So that's the market. I mean, nothing has changed. I'm still saying that if you have plans and you're active, you need to buy right now, because it seems like that ripple effect that I always talk about is real, and it's getting more real as time passes by.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What are you seeing?
Yeah, no, like I said, I think it's the same kind of things, and to me, I don't want to say I'm a little more skeptical, but I still always come back to prices are going to continue because of interest rates. Again, I just refinanced 2 properties, one at 1.3, one at 1.6. You know, they announced inflation at 3.1%, which I think is still even conservative. So you're essentially getting paid to borrow money right now. And as we're seeing, there's money that's being recycled. Everyone is able to refinance. Everybody's able to get financing. There's a lot of money floating around, and it's naturally going back into real estate. So, you know, for me, I think of those policies. We just had our election. You know, the Liberals won again in a minority, and again, they've been printing money. You know, printing money like crazy, keeping interest rates low.
Yeah, you made a good point yesterday when we were talking about this, because you know we were saying that we both are conservatives, and you're like, I don't care that the Liberals won. They're printing money. Everyone's getting money. The market's going up fine.
The Liberals just made both of us filthy rich over these past couple of years because of their policies and the amount of money that they're spending. You know, so and again, I don't think either of us are, you know, very political people. No. We're more focused on what we do. And, you know, again, I still like to look at the policies though, and try to see, like, you know, is this gravy train going to stop? Are they going to raise interest rates? Are they going to stop printing money? Is inflation going to come back down? And nothing I'm seeing is going to slow that down. And then, as we just talked about, I look back at inventory and go, okay, well, nobody's really selling, but we're not seeing crazy influxes of houses come on the market, which would predict that in 2 or 3 months. You know what I mean? And you know, before we jumped on here, you know, I don't know if we caught this on the podcast or not, but I was talking about what I'm planning on doing next year. Based off of this is simply just trying to buy a couple properties that are quick singles where I'm not really doing full renos, just kind of buying them and throwing them back on the market after cleaning them up, holding back offers, doing things properly, and making, you know, little bits of money, because I still think the demand is going to keep, and you can do that in a market when the market's continuing to climb, right? So, yeah, I don't know. You know, to me, I you know, we again, we're talking briefly there about the Everglade issue there in China, which, you know, we both agree we don't know enough about, but it's still something I'm trying to learn about, trying to keep an eye on it, see if that will have an effect on the Canadian economy, on the world economy, on housing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, we're both just rented out units, and the rental market is incredibly strong as well. So, you know, if the rental market started to, you know, there's a credible labor shortage too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing that people aren't talking about too. Like, we're coming into a time when there are jobs around for everybody, and, you know, and I'm seeing it everywhere with GM's hiring. You know,
GM has a huge banner on there.
Oh, like they're, you know, and so that's what I mean. I'm like, it's a great time to own a house and be in the business of providing housing regardless. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting fall in next year. And I think, you know, I agree with your sentiment that, you know, if you're trying to wait for a crash, it's not happening in the next year anyways, from things I'm seeing. Who knows if policies come into effect after that, or interest rates start climbing up, which I don't think they can, but anyways.
So speaking about tenants, so you recently found tenants for your property, and you went through the route of finding your tenants by having a Facebook Marketplace ad. And one of the things I've kind of mentioned in the past is that, you know, trying MLS and putting the listings up on MLS. So you want to talk about your approach of doing it on Facebook Marketplace and why you love that approach so much?
You know what? I just like the organization, to be honest. Like we just talked about, I think we're in an area or in a time when, you know, we don't have to we don't have to be on every platform if we don't want to be. You can throw it on Marketplace and get 100 messages. You know, I like having how Facebook, you know, keeps them all in a little like subfolder almost on your messengers, on your messenger. So if you have multiple listings, you can just kind of go see the conversations that you're having, where you're at with them. I introduced or this time did Google Forms, where I had all the tenants fill out a form. Again, I think a phenomenal tool just to be organized, because then all of their responses get put into a page, and you can just kind of shift your way through. You have all their emails and contact info. So if things don't go right, you can reach out. You can create a database if you really wanted to. I think it just keeps you organized. If you then go to Kijiji, which I used to do as well, and then go to MLS as well. My biggest issue with MLS is just the disconnect between the landlord and the tenant. Me being the landlord, I want to meet my tenants. I really feel like that, that interaction during the showing is crucial, right. So, shaking hands with them, I guess not really doing that with COVID, but what they drive, how they park, how they smell, what their car looks like, how they present themselves. You are judging a book by its cover. You have to, right, to some degree. And I just think if you go on MLS and the realtors are doing those showings, I know yesterday we talked about, yes, you can set up like a Zoom call or something like that, but I don't know. I just, it's such an important decision to me. And to me, like the person who is going to have the relationship with the tenant, needs to make sure that they are getting a good feel and establishing a good relationship with them, right? Tenants can screw you over as a landlord. They could make your life a living hell. They can destroy your investment. They can destroy your numbers and not pay you rent. They can make your life, for lack of a better term, a living hell, right? So I don't know. For me, I don't trust, another sales rep to know that they've vetted their own tenant. They're trying to make commission. Yeah. They have a selfish motivation for it, right? Where, if I'm going directly to the tenant, it's, hey, tell me about yourself, you get a good feel, right? You get a good gut check there and see, obviously you're still doing your due diligence as far as, checking if they smoke, what they do for work, if they have pets, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that changes, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah. And, I agree. I think the key about doing it on your own is, as you said, just being able to vet the people and be comfortable with it. Another way that you can do it, and I've seen some people do it, is get it on MLS and essentially, to your point, have an agent bring their clients to rent it out. I've seen that. I've been on the other side where I'm listing it for clients. I've seen it good and I've seen it bad. So on the good side, I've seen it, work out as you would want it to work out, right? So the showings happen, the rental application comes in, client does the reference checks, does a Zoom call, they're happy with it, and they go forward. I've seen the bad part where all of that I just said happens, and then 8 months later, I get a call saying, this is like turning out to be completely different from what we thought we were getting into, and we actually want them out. Yeah. Which could happen anyway. Which could happen right? in any way. Yeah. I guess the one reason why I've never put any of my stuff on the MLS. It's always gone through Facebook Marketplace. But when I do it for clients, like seeing the economics of it and how fast it works, and the fact that, these things go fast. Like you don't need to wait 2-3 weeks. Like it's probably gone in like a couple of days or a week max. I think that's the only thing that I like, is it gives you that peace of mind and that it's done. But again, how it plays out is a different story.
Yeah, and that's it. Like I get it. It's easier. Yeah. It's more convenient to not have to do the showings. But I don't even show I do the pre-screening with the Google form, and I only show the property to people that I feel are going to work out or who I'm going to want to rent it to. If someone fills out the form and they say they have, 4 kids, 5 pets, they smoke, and, thanks, we've went with another tenant. It's as simple as that. Right. And, so I think you can save yourself time. Yeah, I don't know. I've had success with it so far and no issues. And, again, I just, I don't think it's bad to go on MLS. I just think you got to be super careful. Like, I agree. I would even want like an in-person meeting, not even a Zoom meeting, something like that. But hey, it's a good problem we have right now, right? Like, I think if we got markets changed and tenants, it dried up, and you'd have to go on all platforms that you can, right? I think you can keep control of it as much as you want.
Yeah, and I know when I post stuff about Oshawa, like people ask me how the rental market is and how the demand is. So on my listing that I have on Central Park, I think I got about 40 to 50 messages for the property, which is probably on the lower end. But also a lot of them are, is this available? Is this available? And then you tell them to fill out the Google Forms, and half the people don't, which is fine. But I would say, yeah, the demand is high, and there is a lot of interest in these properties. You see the same thing?
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. It's just, there's not always the perfect tenant there, right? There is a lot of riffraff that you're not going to want to rent to, right? Yeah. And, and again, I think that there is, you have to be a bit patient with that too, right? To wait for the good tenant and not get too anxious. So.
Cool. Let's jump to our next topic. So I know that you and I have done deals for our clients where we've purchased properties and suggested that they purchase by assuming the tenant on to be able to be favorable when it comes to competing with others. And sometimes it goes very smoothly and sometimes it doesn't. So do you want to just kind of talk about how that process is of buying a property with a tenant, assuming a tenant, and what options you have and what routes you have in terms of essentially trying to get rid of the tenants legally and starting fresh?
Yeah, I think assuming a tenant should be the last resort, right? I think you're then taking on liability because you then have to offer them cash for keys. And we don't know what that price is going to be, right? We don't know if they will leave or I guess they would leave, but it depends what price it is, right? Is it 1,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 20,000? We've had good success this year working and coaching people to purchase properties that have tenants in them paying under market value, but using negotiations and the system essentially to help get them out. And I'll explain what I mean with that. So, for me, the first option for any listing with tenants in it is calling the listing sales rep and asking if they would provide vacant possession, right? Which has happened in our Lakeview deal. Right? If the listing rep and the seller take on a ton of risk, and I don't even think they understand that. But we don't care, right? If we can put in the agreement of purchase and sale, or we can put in the offer that they are going to be responsible providing us vacant possession, massive, right? And that property, I think we got at a discount because of that, right? Not a huge discount, but still, it was a legal 2 unit with great ceiling heights for $825 when they're typically going $840, $860, right? Some of them creeping up to $900,000 in nice areas, but this is South Oshawa. And again, I think it was, getting vacant possession, going to be able to clean it up, doesn't need any reno, and going to get tenants in there paying market rent, right? Which is going to be about $1,000 more a month than what the previous tenants were paying. Right. So that's option one. Great for the buyer, tons of risk for the seller. And we spoke to the seller and kind of, he was there opening the garage for us, and you could tell he was like, I can't believe we agreed to that. And I don't think he realized or his sales rep realized the risks that they were taking on. Yeah. That's option one. The second one is being able to negotiate cash for keys, yourself during a conditional period. So either, ourselves speaking to the tenant or saying to the sellers, you guys negotiate cash for keys. And if you could provide N11s, then we'll firm up. And we did that with the Whitby house. Again, had problems with that. Even after the tenants agreed, we agreed to give them 2 months rent. We put that into the purchase price, which again, for my clients, they're going to now mortgage that amount. So we built that into the purchase price, which was, I think $5,000. And we did have problems, but we did get the tenants out a couple days after they took possession because we had those N11s signed. So again, good property, under market value because we were able to buy the property, but negotiate getting N11 signed, which is, the mutual agreement of both parties leaving or mutual agreement of ending the tenancy. And then the third from that would be the N12, right? Which is kind of trickier because you need someone that can move into a property. which isn't always everybody.
Right.
But then again, you could serve the N12s to the tenants and then get them to essentially leave because you're going to move into the property.
Mm-hmm. So with those options, so the option of doing the N11 or the N12 deal, what is the second part to the N11 or the N12 form? Because there's a follow-up to that, right?
Yeah, just with any form that you have with the LTB, you have to, that's what you're serving to the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
You then have to file with the LTB. So with the N11, it's an L3 that you have to file. And with the N12, it's an L2.
Right.
So and it's powerful that you do that, because once you file the L2, what the LTB does is they send notice to the tenant saying that there is now a hearing and that this has been filed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super powerful, because then the tenants go, oh, okay, these guys aren't bluffing, or this isn't, they're not kidding around, right?
Right.
The L3 for the N11, is something that we didn't do on this deal because we assumed the tenants agreed to leave. They're going to leave. Yeah. Great. We had to file it after we realized these guys, I guess, were trying to change their mind or couldn't find a spot, which was really what happened. They again, because the market's gone up. But again, for us, we'd said, listen, we came to an agreement where you've signed this form. So we went and filed the L3, same kind of thing. They get notification that, hey, you have to be out, or the sheriff's coming. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it usually scares them enough to say, okay, I'll get my act together and get out of here and move on.
So with both these forms, the N11 and the N12, you as the cooperating agent is negotiating it with the listing agent, and the listing agent has to get his clients who are selling the house to submit all these forms.
Yep.
So you can complete it, send it to them, but it's up to them to submit it, and you essentially have to follow up to make sure that it's been submitted.
Yeah, and this is where, for us, we promote working with a buyer rep who knows how to do these things. Makes more sense, because we have to coach the listing reps into it a lot of times, right? And explain to them.
They know typically the listing agents are aware of any of this?
No clue. No clue at all. And again, that's why I try my first attempt is always to ask them if they will provide vacant possession. Right. With us providing no forms. Right. So it's kind of my first test to see if the listing rep knows what they're doing, or if they have a good relationship with the tenant, they want to do an N11 with the tenant. That's none of my business. I don't care. Right. Like, for me, if I'm representing a buyer and we can get vacant possession, and keep in mind, all of this is because tenants are paying below market rent because the market has gone up so much.
Right.
So this is a big issue with the market right now, is that any property that has tenants in it from last year is paying below market rent.
Yeah.
And their property value is therefore lower than what it is. So this is where the opportunity is for investors to go, deal with these stresses and these issues. The properties we're seeing right now that are vacant, easy to show, even if they need a ton of renos, are selling for stupid amounts.
Yeah.
Right. And, I can't wait to talk to Jimmy, hopefully next week, about his property, because he's an agent that we are planning on having on the podcast, which is kind of new for this podcast. But for him, he's a house flipper. He's working with people that flip houses or legalize, and decided to sell a property without doing the reno, which I find interesting. And I think I know why he's doing it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear from him personally, because I think he's seeing what we're seeing too, in that some people right now are just paying crazy amounts for these nice, convenient properties that.
That's right. Yeah.
As we've talked about, the more problems that you can solve for people, the better deal you're going to get.
Yeah.
And if you can help an agent solve a problem, they're going to give our buyers a better deal.
Yeah, no, I agree. Cool, good stuff. You want to kind of do an update as to what we're going to be trying to do?
I kind of spilled the beans there a little bit, but
I
think you've heard enough of Saman and I, and what we're going on. We'd love to. Our plan is to bring on some people, have a third person on the podcast that essentially we're not limiting it to agents. We're limiting it. We're going to try to focus on people that are buying or selling real estate in some capacity, and that, you know, really have an idea. And why we say that is because we'd love to bring on wholesalers, other investors who buy off market, who flip, or who sell properties. There's lots of other people that are involved in the real estate market besides just realtors.
Yeah.
You know, in the design of this podcast, I think we want to head it in a direction where we're kind of giving people behind the scenes conversations and look as to what happens behind the scenes of the transactions, the mindsets, the thought of, you know, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're thinking about. Here are the strategies we're using. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, no, I think, what we spoke about yesterday was that these are going to be people, just to your point, who are action takers, who are doing things, you know, putting their money where their mouth is, and essentially showing that, you know, you can make moves here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in real estate. It could be in other forms.
Yep.
So, you know, we'll see what people have to say, and get to learn from others. And
And I think if you're hearing this or watching this and there's people that you would like to see on the podcast, drop their name below, send us a message. I think we can
absolutely
try to accommodate.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thank you all for watching, and we appreciate you keeping up with us. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be having more content for you soon.
Awesome.